Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on the Hermitpack server playing some modded Minecraft. I do like it, and I probably sound a little bit off, right? If you saw our regular vanilla Hermitcraft episode, you know that I've been ill and that I'm feeling better. However, the voice still a little bit bunged up. I probably sound a little bit odd. Hopefully that's not an annoyance for you. And this episode, do I have a plan? Sort of, but not really. I've got a big list of little jobs to do, which I was hoping to get ready. And where I've been ill, I have been playing in between and making some progress with this building, but not as much as I wanted to do. So I kind of wanted to jump on here, power into a project, get something big done. Whereas I actually think what we're going to end up doing is lots of little things, one after the other, which will be interesting. There's lots of things I've got to learn about. Hopefully I'll be able to teach you as well. But this is the building, our main building for where we're going to be working and crafting and stuff like that. So it's not going to be the biggest building, but it just doesn't look right. Now, obviously, there's going to be far more detail on this than you see right here. The structure, I think, is okay, but the rectangle shape of this just isn't working for me on the outside and the inside as well. I wanted to do something a little bit different from a conventional ziggurat, and I feel like that hasn't really worked here. So things will change. What we're probably going to do is push this wall back and turn it into a square, because I have already done a lot of building on the opposite side. But this is the interior area, and I'm really not sure what I had shown last episode. I don't think I built any of this structure at all. So on the top floor, I thought what we'd do is have some of our storage accessible for things like this, and the place that I've chosen to fit them in doesn't really work, having these odd little units over on the side here. So you can see our diamonds are there. There's a block next to it to represent it. I don't know what sort of block we can use to represent an end crystal, but we got one here for sand as well. And so we're probably going to use a lot of these storage units alongside disk drives, you know, and there's a way to prioritize where items go. So we should be able to tell the game where to send things like diamonds before putting them in disk drives. So that's the top area. It's sort of okay. I don't know. We'll have a look at the behind the scenes bit in a moment. Down here, though, things are going really good. Let's turn on the system. We now have 4 of these crafting grids. So when we want to make something really complicated, we can load up different parts of the recipe in each screen, and then it makes crafting a lot easier. So this is some really great stuff right here. So around our crafting station here, we will have a whole bunch of different machines accessible to us. And this is where I feel like the square shape of the room would probably be better. It would open up in that direction, give us more space for rooms. As you can see on this side, I've already filled this up with some Ender IO stuff. So we've got our alloy smelters over here. Some of them are in need of capacitors, as you can see, stuff that we've got to craft. We've got our sag mills down here and a whole bunch of other machines. And this one at the top is especially cool. It monitors all the RF usage in the system, so we can see how much we have in our capacitor bank. If we add more, I'm pretty sure it's just going to add it to those numbers. And this is what's inside machines, I do believe. So it's interesting stuff, that's for sure. But if we go and grab some sand, and let's say we want to smelt it into glass and we chuck it in here, then when we open this, you can see what's going on in the system. So if you start smelting a lot of stuff, you'll get a lot of information about where your energy is going. It's really, really cool, and I feel like that block should probably actually be over here where the capacitor is, so you can sort of monitor what's going on in the facility. But that's the front of it. This is how it looks from the usage side. Behind the scenes, there's going to be all sorts of cables and things running around, and that's another interesting part of this project. It's a little bit all over the place at the moment, but here are the Ender IO machines configured to have energy given to them and items collected from them as well. So the general gist is that, you know, everything goes automatically back into the system. If we open the one that we just put our sand in, you can see the glass gets taken away. And where does that item conduit go? It goes into this chest. You need a sort of intermedium between that and an importer, which I think we made in the last episode, and that will take the items and put them into our system. So really cool stuff. We're going to hook up all of these machines automated, so that when we need to smelt stuff, it goes straight back into here. Because the chances are, if you need to smelt something, you're going to be crafting, and then, you know, it's already in the system for you to use. It's going to be real streamlined. So one other thing that I would like to show you is what's going on with the area up top where I want to have some of our storage units. You can see them sort of back there. Let's get rid of some of this sand. We don't need this here anymore. And now we can pop up here. So this is much like what we had in our previous space, where we have this chest, which for some reason has a torch and an item conduit in. I don't know how that got in there, actually. That's where our diamonds and end crystals come through. So they will simply be put into the correct quantum storage unit. Then this external storage right here can interact with that, and I believe this is a filter, so if ever there are diamonds in the system, it will put them into this one, and this is where I believe priority might become useful. If we set it to priority number 1, although it's only diamonds, it'll be the first thing that diamonds will look for, right? And that means they will go there instead of disk drives. So I kind of envision having this cable around the top here, going to all the storage units, and then little things like this to take items from farms and put them into. With that in mind, if I understand how this works correctly, we can actually just have the ender chest go into part of the system down here, and then with priority 1 it would move the diamonds to the correct spot. If that's how it does work, then I'll probably set that up. But this is all sort of finicky off-camera stuff that I need to do. And you can see there's a whole bunch of storage here that needs organising and displaying at the top. And it's quite time-consuming, so we're not going to focus on that. What we are going to do at the beginning here is look at 2 different things that I want to have a go at. I find that these little pillars down here are a little bit blocking of the view, like across the different machines. I feel like you need to be able to see more of them as you look around. So I'm going to play around with chisel and bits here and see if we can reduce the amount of space they take up. And as well as that, I also want to look into painting some glowstone. Do we have a painter here? I believe this is it. I get lots of comments about this all the time. You can take a block and then you can take some glowstone and paint the glowstone the same as the other blocks. So it would look like one of these, but it would emit light. And that's going to be really useful for lighting, as these little orbs we have lying around aren't too interesting. And this is how we've made them, by the way, with the illumination one. So if I just click on that, it should go away. Yeah, that's how we make those light sources. And do you know what? They're not that pretty. There's going to be like a time and a place to use them, but I feel like in this space they really stick out like a sore thumb, don't they? So chisel and bits allows you to do kind of a lot, right? And I don't want to get too far away from the vanilla feel, so I want to go with half blocks like this, and this is exactly what I was hoping, that the texture would actually line up. Look at that. We've got a vertical slab on the wall there, and that just opens up the view a tiny bit, yet it feels ever so vanilla, which is what I like, you know. That feels like it would fit into the game really well. So I'm happy with that. That's good. The next thing to do now is to try and paint some of this, which I haven't looked up. What we're going to do is grab some stairs and then grab some glowstone and paint the glowstone as stairs, and then we'll put them down here at the bottom, and that can emit some light into the room. Alright, this totally works. I do like it. So you put in your stairs over here, you put your glowstone there, and it'll make it for you, and then it gets automatically sucked into the system, so you've got to go and pick it out yourself. When we have this in my hand, it looks slightly worrying, right? It looks like it's not worked. When you place it down, oh, that's a little bit funky. Do I have to define a direction somehow for this to be placed? Well, placed it a second ago and didn't really think about the direction, so a little bit of a problem to look into there. Otherwise, that is a light emitting block that looks like one of our stairs. When I break it, you can hear the sound of glowstone, so almost there. So I've been thinking, modded Minecraft is supposed to be quicker to play, so then you tend to play on a larger scale, and that means you spend a lot more time working on stuff. 2 hours has gone by. Just 2 hours, lots of digging, lots of building, using me tools, me building ones and all sorts, and I feel like I haven't got as much done as I would have liked here, but we can definitely see where we're going. Now, I'm always ambitious. I want to do one thing each episode and expand quickly, and maybe that's not realistic in this series, and we're going to have to take it just a tiny bit slower. What I'm doing at the moment is I'm building steps that go up on the opposite side to the one that we've already got. We're going to have 4 sets of steps in total. There will be one on that side and that side as well. Those ones won't have openings, so this one's going to have an opening down there. If we go around to the other side, you can see it's already got its opening. It does look a little bit odd, but I think it works. And I don't, well, maybe we'll have the steps go up to the top here, but I kind of like the idea of this being quite different in the middle, like you have to walk in and there's actually a room in the up area where maybe we could put trophies and things like that. Cool stuff that we get during the series. But anyway, check out the interiors. Definitely a good idea to swap around to this. The one thing that I don't like about it though are these stairs and the way that it knocks out this extra pillar. Kind of takes a little bit of the symmetry out of the room, but maybe there's a way to shuffle that around. Anyway, this is what it looks like over here. And the way that we got the lighting sorted out, because we're no longer using those little illuminated patches, which they're alright, but they can be kind of ugly if you don't use them properly. We are now illuminating these bricks right here. They're actually glowstone. So there's a ring of glowstone around the top and around the bottom. So this right here and that is providing light at the bottom and top, and it should be, I hope it's good enough to light up all of this. I think it will be, and then the glass, we don't have to worry about the light levels on top of that. This big patch of glass, yeah, not so good now that it's larger. But anyway, I'm happy with this, and things are just going to progress steadily. I really want to jump onto a project and do something different at the moment, so that is precisely what we shall do. I've mentioned I've got big plans for this series. I have a vision of something we want to do, and it's going to require a lot of power, which is why we're going to build the Tower of Power. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, what is that glowing bread on the side of your screen? This is a gift from Iskau. He gave me this earlier, and if we hold down Shift, you can see that it has a value of 20. That's the amount of haunches that it heals, and haunches are these things down here. So it does an entire bar in one go, which is pretty cool. So I was thinking, well, this must be crazy expensive. And actually, I'd say that's not very expensive at all. That's pretty cool. And I like that. And we may just find ourselves eating some glowing bread from now on. But anyway, what we're going to do is work on solar power. Now, when it comes to powering these modded packs, I'm not really interested in super efficient setups, and I'm also not interested in stuff that gives you power for free, which is kind of what I feel like what we're about to build does. So further down the line, I would like to find some clever way of using, I don't know, some materials that can be turned into energy, and some clever way of farming them to make a more interesting way of getting power. But for now, solar power will do just fine. And we're going to be getting it from a mod which goes by the name of Environmental Tech. Yes, that's it. I had to remember that, didn't I? This mod is interesting. It's very, very different the way things are done from other mods, and the idea is that you have a whole bunch of structure blocks which I think look, to be honest, quite ugly. So we will be hiding this inside a tower. So by putting it at this height here, we give ourselves a lot of room to build a tower around it. I think that's actually too low down. Let's make this a little bit higher. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be pretty reasonable. Okay, so this environmental tech mod is pretty expensive for me early on in the game. There was a lot of crafting to do what we're going to do next. In fact, I need to look in my inventory because I've crafted everything. So there are solar cells. I had to take some trips to the Nether to get quartz. I had to do some mining for redstone. And you can see the diamonds, though, would have been taken care of. But there was some expenses here, and I had to put a lot of time into crafting all of this. But with our crafting grid set up, didn't take any time at all. The thing that took me the most time wasn't all the mining in the Nether and mining underground for redstone. It was actually learning how to get this thing to work. Had to experiment in creative mode. So what you need if you want to do this yourself is the assembler. And actually, before we get into that, let me go grab something from our storage. Yeah, this thing is kind of essential to figuring out what you need to do. So I went into here, went to the solar array, and then we've gone for the tier 2, and it tells you the amount of blocks that you need down here. So if you want to do this yourself, then this is the way, and you can see the peak energy here, 6,400 per tick. Pretty crazy amount of energy if you ask me. What you're going to need is this assembler, and you can see the instructions on it. Right click on the controllers to assemble. If you left click, it tells you what you need. We've already got all of those things, so we right click it and it starts to build it for us, which is definitely a different way of doing things. And how long it will take to build, I'm not sure. When I did this in creative mode, it was just like, bam, here you go. So apparently I need to keep click on it. Well, that's interesting. Huh. I wonder if that's intentional then, that in creative mode it does it all instantly. So I guess, yep, everything's gone from our inventory. And it's not the prettiest of structures, is it? But it's now going to be outputting power. Except the sun's going down. This thing is only going to work in the daytime, which means we're going to have to build a whole bunch of capacitor banks to store the energy that it actually creates. Is there any interface for this thing? I didn't discover one in creative mode. Nope. We're going to need to hook up a conduit to this thing to draw some power out of it. I just love that crafting grid. It was so painless to make these. Man, I need to get some new boots. It was so painless to make this. And what we got is a capacitor, and one of these just needed to throw in those recipes and it finds all the items for you. Takes seconds to craft this stuff now, which is amazing. So straight away, look at that, tons of energy coming in. That is going so fast. Oh my goodness me. 10 RF per tick. It seems like it's faster than that for me. That's definitely faster. That's over 1000 RF per tick. So why does that one only say 10? No, I'm looking at this wrong. That's the input. This is the output. Okay, perhaps the cost of running these machines, or maybe just this one. And there you go. That's a serious amount of power coming into the system now. So what we probably want to focus on next is getting some capacitor banks under here so we can store a lot of that, and then finding a way to ship it over to our main base. We will just yoink one of these and go through here. And with that Enderman, we have made a dimensional transceiver. But then I had to take another trip to the end because I realised that you don't need just one of these, you need two, and I think I ended up making 4 and a couple more in here to be crafted. Expensive stuff right here, expensive stuff. But I think it's been well and truly worth it. Well, look at that, I've run out of the cheaper stuff. Oh well, we can make another one. I have already hooked this stuff up. It is really cool. If we go around the back here, you will see that I have replaced our blaze rod power thing over here. So we've still got the ender chest full of blaze rods. Aha. But this thing is now our power source. And this bit over here does power. Okay, and what you have to do is make a channel name and then sort of configure it to send or receive. So the other one that we've got is sending, this one is receiving, and that's just power because it also does items as well. I don't know what the one at the bottom is, I'm not really sure what this is or that is. There's a lot of stuff it can do though. This thing we may end up making a lot of and using instead of those ender chests. It seems really cool. Plus I love the Ender IO mod, and I kind of like it when a lot of our stuff kind of focuses around one mod, you know, rather than lots of them. And if we go over here, you can see that I've added this thing. It charged up real quick and it's now sending the power across through this channel, which I've named Asuma Solar. So if this is going to be the power tower, we need to build a tower around it. And I'm envisioning a little bridge going across the water here, which means we need a path going over to there. And we haven't built the first path to begin with. If you're wondering what's up with these little balls on top, that's going to be temporary. That's just there to stop mobs spawning on this thing. So over here is my path, and I'm not sure if I've gone about this the right way. When I fly around, it actually looks pretty good, but it sort of feels like maybe it shouldn't. Now, when it comes to using chisel and bits and working with smaller blocks, I like ones that are, you know, what would it actually be? 1, 2, 3, 4, an eighth. An eighth the size of a regular block, and I like it when they're snapped to the grid as well. It keeps the blocky feel of the game in, but it allows you to add more detail. So I started off by digging out a lot of this area. I was originally going to have this path at the same height here, but I like the idea of it being worn down into the ground a little bit. And now I've walked into cactus. But yeah, what we're doing is we're using 4 different blocks in total actually. Let me show you them. We have the smooth brownstone, rough brownstone, polished sandstone, and sand. And the idea is that the rougher stuff is sort of in the middle, and then it mixes with the smooth stuff closer to the edges, although that's not quite how it's worked out. And then you've got some of the smooth sand in between regular sand, and lowering it down by 1 I think really worked. And I remember what Iskall taught me, which is to chuck blocks upwards a little bit on the sides of paths to make it look like they've been walked through. And with this sand here, it really does work, but the thing that feels odd to me is that it transitions from being all detailed to then having big blocks again over here. And of course I can't go around the entire desert and do it all like this, but I do think it actually fits in really well. You know, it probably needs a little bit of fine-tuning here and there, but as a whole, I think it works pretty well. Anyway, before we start work on building the tower, I thought I'd make a couple of adjustments here. So I've crafted some more capacitors. We're now storing 4 million RF over here, and it got me thinking that if we're going to hook this up to more things, which is what I'm about to do right now with our other transceivers, then the power is going to be cut off going to this system at night time. So it's alright having some capacitor banks there, but that's going to be sending it out to different places. So where it sends energy to, we should also store energy with capacitor banks as well. So this one's been upgraded, it now stores 2 million. And then when we have no more power coming in here, we've got that much to keep these machines up and running for a while, which isn't a lot. and it's something that will expand as we get more resources. But I have been thinking that I've been running out of redstone a lot, and there's other materials as well, and what we could possibly do is repurpose some of our farms. These magma cubes are just endlessly annoying. One of the things we will be doing soon is setting up a beacon that stops mobs spawning in an area, and we can do that with the power that we're generating. What I want to grab though is a vat. I'm hoping I can find a witch. A vat? No, it's called a vial, not a vat. There we go. If I can find a witch, we could possibly repurpose one of our old farms that we have, and then wirelessly send ourselves some items and wirelessly give it power using this thing. But first of all, we're going to make a change to our diamond farm, which is now using the dimensional transceiver. I'm going to put a daylight sensor on top of this and remove that, and this thing will run automatically, although we have to give it a little click like that. So when it's daytime, this thing will be running, and when it's nighttime, when our solar power isn't generating, this thing will turn itself off. And by the way, it's in a loaded chunk. So down here I've loaded some more chunks, and I've repurposed our cow farm into a witch farm. I do have plans to make proper farms in the future. I don't want to talk too much about my plans, but it's taken a while to get everything to get there. But these resources will help us do that. So this is our witch spawner. We've got a capacitor so it runs nice and fast. It's hooked up to this thing. It's hooked up to that thing. I'm also going to pinch the senders for these and put them in our base, so we'll be able to wirelessly turn this thing on and off, and we'll be able to collect items with it down here as well. I'm not sure if you need to have a conduit to transfer from this to that. Some items have gone missing from there. That is kind of weird because this thing hasn't turned on yet, right? Or maybe, wow, okay, right. So when there's a place to send it to on the other side, I believe this thing will then turn on and look like the one up there, which looks pretty cool, by the way. So there's where the items have gone. By the way, these hats, I'm wondering if you can wear one of them. Let's give it a try. Oh, we can wear this one. Check it out. I want to see what I look like. F5 time. Oh, that looks so cool. Is it me or is the top like cut off? It's definitely cut off, isn't it? And can we wear this one? We can wear both of them. And the top of that one isn't cut off. I love that. I wonder if you can enchant it. It's got +1 armor. That's terrible, I know. But that's so cool. That gives me an idea, actually. I wonder if you can paint items the way you paint blocks. Like we could paint this with that. That would be interesting. I'm going to have to try that. Right, it's finally time to do the building. And boy oh boy, this doesn't look right. We're going to have to move this whole thing a lot higher up. But you will notice this ring around our solar panels. There is room to expand this. I believe there are 2 more tiers, so a space of 2 more blocks means each tier gets a little bit bigger than the last, and it will actually fill in that entire space, which is pretty cool. So what I want to do is just have a tower going straight up, and I sort of copied the thing we were doing on vanilla, where we have these bricks at the end here, but I haven't really settled on what materials to use yet. There's a whole bunch of them right here. I want to, of course, use some green, some Midori in there, and we don't want to have just plain walls. We want to make this a little bit more interesting if we can, so I'm hopefully going to use things from the mod pack to do that. But height is the first issue. That thing needs to go up somewhere about there, I reckon. It needs to be reasonably tall. The other thing is this swapping wand is amazing. There was some dirt and grass up the top here, and you could just go around and change this, and then from up above, it looks pretty cool because there's more sand below, and that looks proper. I don't know about you guys, but it kind of annoys me when those rivers create grass in like the desert biome. There was some over here which I replaced, and there's probably some more further up. You see how there's sand on that side? You could go over there and replace it with grass. Like, that looks odd to me. And now we can just come in here with this thing and change it around, which is really, really cool. I do like that feature. But yeah, we can use it over there, and we obviously got to expand the base of the tower island as well. You know, I try so hard with this building stuff. It never comes naturally to me. And I'm thinking when I look at this that what we've got to do is put in some details using the chisel and bits, just little bits where the blocks are sort of broken down a bit and it creates some patterns. But also, we need to get the Midori blocks in there. Now, a moment ago, I was trying all sorts of different materials to go on the outside here because I didn't like what we had before. I tried Midori, which kind of looked ridiculous. This has got to be used in small quantities, you know. And I also tried some bricks. and some hardened clay that you can chisel, and then it could have hit me. I've already done this. I've already done the hard work, and there's a big old lag spike. This happens when you play on this server like once or twice per play session. You just get a big lag spike. Yeah, I've already done the hard work here, and we should probably put a bit of orange in there as well to keep things consistent. Yeah, so there I am messing around with all these materials, and I've forgotten that, yeah, we're going to try and stick to a particular set. But anyway, I just extended the walls up here, and it made me realise that this one can stay where it is for now, so that saves me the headache of rebuilding this. When we have more resources and we can do the next level, then we will move it up to where this thing goes out a little bit, which is going to happen right at the very top of the tower. So I'd say that is probably about 2/3 of the height so far. And it's daytime. It always seems to be night when I want to record. So this I feel is going to work. This window right here, this is after trial and error for a whole bunch of different things. Just a little bit of depth thrown in here makes a world of difference, and around here is where it looks best. I tried doing like some little patterns where you have little nooks like this sort of going across from one side to the other, and never did it really feel like it belonged there. And also another thing I thought would look good would be to chip away at these. Last time I did that, I did them there as well, and it just sort of occurred to me that actually that might look really cool. Yeah, that does actually look cool. I'll probably go with that then. But also I've been umming and ahhing about chipping away these edges here, so it's, I guess, slightly more curved on the corner. I don't know, it's not really, is it? But if we remove all of this, I just don't know if I like it or not. And the whole time that I've been recording this episode, there's been moments where I'm thinking if I were live streaming, I could just get some live feedback. That would be amazing. So I cannot wait to start streaming again, because I've been ill. It's been a while since I have. I don't think we're going to keep it. I don't think it looks terrible, but it will look odd, because there are other bits here that look a bit odd where they've been chiseled. Well, this is becoming a problem for my frames pretty fast. One of these bags fills up like pretty much instantly. That's how we're going to get rid of these items. And I was just thinking, a stack of these is hardly anything of a actual block. Wouldn't it be nice if these just stacked into the equivalent of a stack of blocks? Because I've, chiseled away well and truly under less than that many, and yet it's just filling up my inventory. It's making all sorts of chaos around here. And can I do that like down here where they're in the water? No. Oh, I thought it might appear and then disappear for a second. Yeah, this is a bit of a problem. You probably already wrote a comment, didn't you? You already wrote one down there. You can delete all of them like that and just... oh, you have to click it twice. Bam. And then you've picked up all of that again. There we go. That's what I should have been doing. Silly me. Oh my god. It looks so good now. I am relieved. I am relieved because the entire time that I was building that, I did feel like I was just diving into territory. I didn't know what I was doing. But we've ended up with something that fits into our palette and feels like a proper tower. Now, this middle bit here will show you that I have really just sort of worked with what we've done on vanilla recently, as it's very similar to what's going on there. However, the top is a little bit different, and I really like how this turned out. So you can see we've got these stairs sort of bring it out. And then we've got more stairs, which I've made using the chisel and bits. And then we've got some of these little spikes at the top. Now, these have a proper name, because archers stand behind them and then shoot through the gaps. But I can't remember that right now. What I'm hoping is that there is actually enough space for this, because the multi-block structure isn't flat. So when it fits into this bit right here, I'm hoping that it will be able to go, one block lower and then not need that ring of space or this one. But if it does become a problem, we can always make this top bit bigger. I don't think there's any other nuances to show you. There's still some more work to do. I wanted to add a little something on the sides at the bottom here, but I haven't quite figured out what I want to do. I was thinking of mirroring this, where we have some stairs pointing sideways into there, and then we have the Midori stairs, which I could actually craft, and I could throw my blocks on the ground while I tried to do that. Yeah, we could do this right now. There's no reason not to. In fact, why did I not do that earlier? Like, I've had all the blocks in my inventory, and for some reason I thought I didn't. I don't know. I'm a little bit like that. I've made many trips back and forth to pick up items and then throw them away again, and just silliness all around. So yeah, that I think looks pretty cool. Don't know if I'll keep that or not. And also up the top here, it becomes very yellow, and there's nothing to contrast it, so I kind of feel like we need some more brown up there, and I'm not sure what to do. But I've got my building fix for today. I did want to do that path and that bridge as well, but I think we will have to save that for another time. Well, you probably guessed what that means. It's time to say goodbye to the Tower of Power, because it's the end of the episode. Yes, that's it from me this one. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like on the video, and as always, thank you for your support. Do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.